Disclaimer, before I begin, I do not believe that Jerma has schizophrenia or anything of the sorts. I am not diagnosing him or trying to intrude on his personal life. I am simply going off of what I've learned about him through his internet persona. I'm using his character as a way to research and learn more about disorders themselves rather than Jerma himself. I have autism and ADHD myself, and I see myself in him. With this being said, some of the things I reference aren't on the DSM itself, but on experiences I and other neurodivergent people have had. Before I begin, I will start with listing the disorders referenced in my psychoanalysis and the symptoms with them. Autism spectrum disorder, ASD. A. Persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts as manifested by the following currently or by history. Number 1. Deficits in social-emotional reciprocity. Number 2, deficits in nonverbal communicative behaviors used for social interaction. And 3, deficits in developing, maintaining, and understanding relationships. B, restricted, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Number 1, stereotyped or repetitive motor movements, use of objects or speech. Number 2, insistence on sameness and flexible adherence to routines or ritualized patterns of verbal or nonverbal behavior. Number 3, highly restricted, fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus. Number 4, hyper or hypo-reactivity to sensory input or unusual interest in sensory aspects of the environment. Normally, in the past, I would have said Jerma has Asperger's, though it was taken out of the DSM and merged into what is now known as ASD. Asperger's is seen as high-functioning autism, which causes it to have more overlap with ADHD than, lower-functioning autism. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactivity/impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development as characterized by 1 and or 2. 1. Inattention. 6 or more of the following symptoms have been persisted for at least 6 months to a degree that is inconsistent with developmental level and that negatively impacts directly on social and academic occupational activities. Often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes during activities. B. Often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities. C. Often does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. D. Often does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish tasks. E. Often has difficulty organizing tasks and activities. F. Often avoids, dislikes, or is reluctant to engage in tasks that require sustained mental effort. G. Often loses things necessary for tasks or activities. H. Is often easily distracted by extraneous stimuli. I. Is often forgetful in daily activities. Number 2, hyperactivity and impulsivity. 6 or more of the following symptoms have persisted for at least 6 months to a degree that is inconsistent with developmental level and that negatively impacts directly on social and academic/occupational activities. Often fidgets with or taps hands or feet or squirms in their seat. B. Often leaves seat in situations when remaining seated is expected. C. Often runs about or climbs in situations where it is inappropriate. D. Often unable to play or engage in leisure activities quietly. E. Is often on the go, acting as if driven by a motor. F. Often talks excessively. G. Often blurts out an answer before a question has been completed. H. Often has difficulty waiting his or her turn. I. Often interrupts or intrudes on others. ADHD and ASD are typically comorbid disorders, making it more likely to have both than just one. It is also possible for autism to be misdiagnosed as things like ADHD and bipolar, as well as other combinations. Men with ADHD or autism spectrum disorder normally get diagnosed in early childhood, sometimes even misdiagnosed or ignored and seen as rowdy, troublemaker kids. It is harder to get diagnosed as you get older, seen as people believe you grow out of neurodivergency. Obsessive-compulsive disorder. A. Presence of obsessions, compulsions, or both. A. Obsessions are defined by 1 and 2. 1. Recurrent and persistent thoughts, urges, or images seen as intrusive and unwanted that tend to cause anxiety and stress. 2. Attempts to ignore or suppress thoughts, normally by conforming a compulsion. B. Compulsions are defined by 1 and 2. 1. Repetitive behaviors or mental acts that the individual feels driven to perform in response to the obsessions or subconscious rules that they feel they are forced to follow. The behaviors and mental acts are aimed at preventing or reducing anxiety and distress, or preventing some dreaded event or situation, usually irrational or unlikely. Schizophrenia. 2 or more of the following, each present for a significant amount of time during a 1-month period. At least one of these must be 1, 2, or 3. Number 1, delusions. Number 2, hallucinations. Number 3, disorganized speech, such as derailment and incoherence. Number 4, disorganized or catatonic behavior. Number 5, negative symptoms, such as diminished emotional expression. My evidence. Evidence number 1.
If I don't have something in my hands, or in my mouth, or something to hold, I go nuts. It pacifies me. Otherwise, I'd be like...
This is in the ADHD, hyperactivity, and impulsivity section. Often fidgets with or taps hands or feet and squirms in their seat. Evidence 2.
Mod him. No, nobody just gets... I got big hands. Did I tell you that? You see how big my hands are? Look at that. Look at next to my face how big my hands are. Look at that. Look at how big these are. They're right next to my head. Look at how huge my fucking hands are. You see that?
This is also ADHD, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Is often on the go as if run by a motor. Often talks excessively. He also tends to talk over himself, starting a sentence and completing another, blurting out stuff mid-sentence, and etc. Evidence number 3.
Ah! I forgot I was playing a game, and I forgot I was streaming, I forgot I was sitting in a chair, I forgot where I was.
ADHD inattention. Makes careless mistakes during activities, is often easily distracted by external stimuli, and is often forgetful in daily activities. Evidence number 4.
This makes me want to scream! I don't know why. Like, the way I have to move and the way that it's looking, I have to scream. Anybody ever get like that? I don't know why.
ADHD, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks. Often dislike tasks that require sustained mental effort. Is often distracted by external stimuli. Inattention. Often unable to engage and play quietly. Often talks excessively. Autism spectrum disorder. Repetitive habits. Hyperreactivity to sensory input. Evidence number 5.
How does somebody with like ADHD do this? This is like suffocating them.
This doesn't fit any of the criteria, but this comment can be seen as him admitting that he has it. Evidence number 6.
How hot is the light bulb in this room right now? How hot is this light bulb? Let's see. I need the thermometer. Fuck, that's hot.
ADHD, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Often has difficulty sustaining attention in tasks. Is often easily distracted by external stimuli. Inattention. Often leaves seats in situations where staying seated is expected. Is often on the go as if run by a motor. ASD. Repetitive behavior. Unusual interest in sensory aspects of the environment. Evidence number 7.
Do what? Do laundry. Okay, I gotta remember that.
Hyperactivity and inattention. Fails to finish tasks, often is distracted by external stimuli, is often forgetful in daily activities. Evidence number 8. This is not a part of a singular video, but he constantly talks as he plays games. He multitasks this way, talking and playing games. He does
music on. It's the only thing I can do. I can't put music on in the background. I can't have a conversation while music's playing. It's just like I can hear it. I just think though, okay, I'm hearing the lyrics and talking and there's the beat and I'm talking too, but I can't because I have to hear. I listen to music alone in my office, sitting here, and I put on stuff like Pac-Man's theme from Smash Brothers, like the cool one, and I listen to it like 7.
Evidence number 9. He makes random noises often. I'm not sure if it's stimming or something similar to a tic, though I'm 100% positive it is not forced. Tics are a symptom of many disorders as well as stimming. Both are considered repetitive behaviors. Evidence number 10.
I hate the sound of tape. I'm sorry, guys. This is like turning on an oven for me. I don't like ovens. I hate turning on an oven, and it like freaks me out. I don't like this like box in your house that heats up to like fucking 500 degrees. I don't like.
Autism, repetitive behavior, hyperreactivity to sensory inputs can also be explained by ADHD's hyperactivity and impulsivity. Is often distracted by external stimuli, and inattention, often talks excessively. Evidence number 11. I'm not
bad with eye contact, but it's hard for me to do it for a long period in a row. Like this, if I'm talking to somebody like this and we're like having a conversation, I have to be like looking around and like
ASD, social deficits, deficits in social emotional reciprocity, and deficits in nonverbal communication, such as posturing, making sure if you're talking after someone else is talking, like knowing when it's your turn to speak, making eye contact, facial gestures, grimacing, stuff like that. ADHD hyperactivity doesn't seem to listen when spoken to directly. That it's just an inference because people tend to think you're not paying attention when you look away from them while they're speaking. Evidence number 12.
You're gonna get a pan fully clean like this. Oh, my ears! Oh!
Evidence number 13.
Yes. Okay. Shh. That's it. I can't take this anymore. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Weapons and what? I'm Jerma985. The series where I play Minecraft. Just get some hot cocoa. Go. Get your coffee. And you're right. So yeah.
I can't even really explain this. The behavior doesn't happen often, but I can't tell if it's an act. It's honestly very strange and a little bit disturbing. This fits the third and fourth criteria of schizophrenia: disorganized speech and disorganized and catatonic behavior. Evidence number 14. Note, it is possible this could have been an OCD or ASD symptom, seeing as a moment before he throws it, he plays a few notes trying to match the song. Evidence number 15, he seems to have an obsession with killing game characters from what I've seen. Though I doubt he feels this way in the presence of humans, it's still a disturbing thought.
I killed him. I killed that fucking guy. I killed him. I got him.
Evidence number 16.
Oh, shh. There's already a bird in here. He, like, found his way in.
So when he does actions like this, he becomes upset with himself after. It's understandable why, but I feel like even though he might just be acting, it is a way to put up with unwanted thoughts in his head. OCD obsession, reoccurrent thoughts. Conclusion for ADHD. Based on the criteria of the 4 disorders I chose, here's the diagnoses I would give him. For the hyperactivity and impulsivity section on ADHD, he fits 7 of the 9 symptoms on the list, fitting the criteria. For the inattentive branch on ADHD, he fits 3 out of 9 criteria, making him unfitting for this diagnosis. I do believe it is possible for him to have it, however, a lot of the criteria relates to him communicating with others, something I haven't seen too much of. We also don't know if he exhibited this behavior prior to age 12 or in any other settings. I would say that these symptoms do affect his life, but it seems like he manages, especially at his age. Differential autism, attention deficit disorder, just ADD instead of ADHD. Conclusion, ASD. For the social deficits, he fits 3 out of 3 of the criteria. For repetitive behavior, as far as I've seen, he's fit 2 of the 4 criteria. He doesn't have any intellectual or language impairments, nor does he have any known conditions. He has a tendency to repeat words, echolalia, mannerisms, and I'm almost sure he copies others' movements, echopraxia. These are just 3 samples of catatonia. I'm not sure if he has others, but he fits these 3. Differential, autism spectrum disorder with catatonia. Conclusion, OCD. Due to this disorder only being mentioned twice, I severely doubt that he has OCD. The times I'm able to mention this disorder, I'm able to describe it better with symptoms from another one. Differential. Very unlikely to have obsessive-compulsive disorder. Conclusion for schizophrenia. I strongly doubt that he has schizophrenia or anything of the sort. It's viable that his symptoms are an act or that they are a dramatization of other symptoms. The only criterion he fits are disorganized speech and disorganized and catatonic behavior, which can be explained by the ASD and or ADD. Differential. Unlikely to have schizophrenia. Though I do think his symptoms are an act, I do not believe all schizophrenics are acting. I would like to clarify that before I get myself in trouble. And again, I would like to mention the fact that I am not intruding on his personal life. I'm simply doing research to help myself better understand these disorders, using his online persona to help me do so. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear any criticisms and suggestions to make my research better. Thank you for your time.